So what are you seeing as far as like food plot wise? You know, transitioning from the mineral site is amazing to the food plots, holding the deer, even though. Because you know how we are in Virginia, where we have to get cut off when we get to September. I mean, we're done. Like we've been pulling them.
Yeah, yeah.
But as far as the food plot,
Oh, when you get the food plot in the mineral, pretty much in the same proximity, you get they're going to stay.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like the smorgasbord when deer comes out through there and he's got everything he needs. He's not going anywhere. So, yeah, we don't have, you know, the stuff that we have done and put out. We find that they kind of overlap each other. When you have to stop in September with any kind of feed or whatever
mineral,
you're doing with. And supposedly you're supposed to stop with mineral, but nobody does.
Right.
And the game warden told me that he doesn't know of anybody's ever had a ticket for it that he is, you know, concerned with. I'm sure somewhere they have, and we have heard that they had.
The game warden in my area, man, if he catches you hunting over even the mineral site, he made him go in there and dig up, you know, 3 foot down or more.
Yeah.
That whole area was gone, and that was just because they had mineral there.
Yeah.
Because they had just a small amount that was not licked up.
Well, the thing that our game warden said, and he's been around forever and a day, and he's been up your way too, is if you've got the mineral site out and it's established, and you start putting tree stands up around it, guilty as sin.
Right.
So, but if you don't do that, put them away from your sites. So when you're setting a mineral site up, you should set it up where you're particularly not hunting a lot.
Right. Well,
put
it
in a good place for the management, you know.
Right. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
But don't put it in a place where it's going to, you know, be conceived that you're going to be hunting over.
There you go.
Now, as far as y'all's mineral goes, I know we had talked a little bit about what's the difference in this and your competitor, like more phosphorus.
Exactly. Well, it's a little bit of both, really.
The calcium and the phosphorus. This has got 3% phosphorus in it, which is not as much as like our skull crackers or anything, but it's got 3% phosphorus and it's running about 13.5% calcium. And calcium, Jerry can tell you, he can explain it probably better than I can. He's better with words, but the calcium doesn't do really what it should do if it doesn't have any phosphorus.
It's not digestible if it doesn't have phosphorus. And our leading competitor, I won't call his name, but our leading competitor has no phosphorus in it. And the people that we talk to, the biologists that we talk to, said it has to have some amount of phosphorus in order to the calcium to be run through and digested and actually utilized and put in the horns.
For it to get any benefit whatsoever.
Exactly. So if you'll flip the buckets around on our leading competitor, it's not has any. Reason being, and this is what he said was, if you put phosphorus and calcium down, or put one in each hand, samples of it, you can probably eat the calcium and there's no, you know, it's pretty decent. You can do it. It's a mineral anyway. So, but phosphorus, he says, it's so bitter that the deer wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. So you have to mask it.
You have to have a balance.
So we put a percentage, so our competitor doesn't put it in at all, so they don't take a chance if the deer not consuming it.
Yeah.
But what we figured out was there's a certain percentage down that you have to stop taking your salt away. You mean you can put salt too much. A lot of these stuff you see on the market has got 96% sodium, which is salt. And I mean, what good does that do? That's nothing to benefit no horns.
Right.
You know, so there's a percentage, and it's around 58% that we found that the deer will not eat it if it gets lower than that, because they're after the salt too. You know, it's just like a salt tablet when you're hot and sweaty. That's kind of their body is asking for salt, but they consume the minerals and they need that also. But with the phosphorus in it, and we mask the flavor, and we mask the phosphorus with the flavors. We've got several ingredients in it: molasses, apple flavor, lots of neat stuff that we put in it, and some stuff I don't even want to tell nobody because it does such a good job.
Understood.
And it masks that phosphorus bitterness, so they eat it good. And they crave the salt. But see, you know, any of this stuff, if you were just stop and think about it, it's just as simple as a farmer. If you're wanting your cow to grow, you got to get this certain feed in its body, right? You got to make them eat it. They got to eat it. If they don't like to eat it, they don't grow. Right. If you want the deer to grow horns, you've got to get it some way to eat it. So you've got the potential there in that bucket. if they eat it to grow the horns. So you got to get it in them. So you have to figure out how they will consume your added mineral with what they really like, which is the salt and some of the flavorings, the molasses and so on and so forth. When you can get them to do that, job done. You know, you can get them. So the problem is, if they won't consume it and they just pick around on it, and you know, rain washes it away or something like that. You know, you don't you can have everything in the world there for them to grow the big horns, but if they don't consume it, what good does it do? So you have to get it to where it's you know, you can't get it one way or the other real strong, because they got to get it right here where they can, you know, consume it. If you've got too much salt, there's not enough mineral. If you've got too much mineral, there's not enough salt. Right. So it has to be somewhere in the middle. And that's, we found out there's about 58%.
Yeah.
You know, numerous ways to use it.
Yeah.
I mean, you've talked about using it as a corn coat. You've talked about using it by itself. You've talked about, you know, putting it in a pelletized form. And on top of that, you know, a lot of people, they're looking at mineral to thinking that it's going to make their deer healthy, make them grow bigger horns. But what we talked about with the phosphorus and whatnot, that's not the case. They're getting them in there. They're getting some nutrient, but they're not getting like what they could be getting out of the product.
Well, with calcium, obviously, is the big thing that grows the horns, because calcium that they intake through any kind of natural vegetation or such as that, first goes to growing their bones, like the does particularly, you know, making their babies, you know, healthy. And the bucks, it makes their bones grow, their body's growing, because, you know, every year, 2.5, 3.5, the deer's getting bigger. He's growing bigger. Well, what calcium he has left over goes to the horns. That's why in some areas you just got no horns, because they have no limestone or they have no calcium to go into the horns, you know. So the phosphorus and the calcium is the combination, so they can digest it and it actually go into things. So yeah, that's you know, that's the key ingredient you got to do. You know, that's the way it's got to come about.
So kind of break this down for us, all right? I'm just coming in here. I don't have a clue what I'm doing. What do I need to do for just a basic mineral site from this bucket to the ground? What do I need to do?
Find a good spot first. You don't want to go in a big old black, rich soil, loamy soil where it's all fluffy and nice, which would grow the biggest corn or the best. I mean, that's not the site you put the mineral out. You can find the poorest clay soil or anything like that is hard. An out of the way place. I know you've been through the woods and you come around these pines. All of a sudden there's nothing but a little broom straw and big red areas where there's nothing growing. Perfect place. That's where you put your mineral. You know, within the proximity of where you want them to be or what they're going to use. I mean, you couldn't do that out in the middle of a open field. They'd come at night, but they wouldn't come any other time to get it. They might come at night and they'd have to find it. But yeah, just find a clay, or I mean, right around my house, I put it on stumps.
Okay.
Put it on a locust stump.
Yeah.
And locust stump ain't going nowhere.
No.
And they'll lick that locust stump shiny.
Right.
And they'll get it off of it like that, picking it up. But you just clean back your leaves. You can take a little rake and rake up the dirt right good, and just put that in there. Put about half a bucket per site. It'd be 10 pounds. Put it in your site. Work it up real good, you know, and it gets down in there. Well, rain or not, it's still gonna stay there because that clay is tight. You know, it don't go away. Be better not to put it in a place where rain could wash it down a hill or something. It'd be kind of flat, be a better spot. I mean, don't always have that luxury, but you might, you know.
Yeah.
Now, you said that skullcracker. The comparison between, you know, your normal mineral and your skullcracker. What gives the skullcracker? What is skullcracker, and what gives that the advantage?
Skullcracker is higher, lots higher in calcium and phosphorus. That's the key ingredient. That's the most expensive ingredient too. So that's that's the difference. And we just got that. It costs a little more to produce. Costs a little more, obviously, for the customers. So we just put that together. So the guy that's really in tune with this stuff and actually knows what it is, or you say you've been using a bug bucket and it's competitively priced with all the other guys. You know, this is a few dollars more, probably $4 more, something like that. I don't know exactly the price on it, but it's about $4 a bucket higher, which is not going to break the bank. You know, I mean, I know anybody lose a $20 or $25. I waste that much in a week doinking around, you know.
Buying coffee or,
Yeah.
or something like that
But
crazy.
anyway,
Yeah.
but what the thing is, the guy that knows what he's after, and he knows he can produce some results, and he gets his deer coming to this site, say, okay, they're using this, here it is good, now let's go with Skullcracker. I got a little more of everything, a little more, you know, they both have this basically same amount of trace,
Right.
which that's your trace mineral is all your minerals
Right.
that your deer might be needing. You know, like in some countries out in the Midwest where there's lots of limestone, which is calcium, you don't need as much. You know, in one area or another, you may need, you know, zinc or selenium or whatever.
Right.
It might be different things. So your trace just covers the bases, and what their body don't need, it rejects or don't use.
Right.
But most time, you know, in most cases in the southeast, they're going to need it. You know, they're going to need something. But anyway, Skullcracker in that is the same, with the exception of calcium and the phosphorus. But once you get them established to say this, then go in there and lace that thing with Skullcracker, and you're the next stage up. You're the next thing
Yeah.
up. You got more calcium, you got more phosphorus, you got better deals going on. You
Yeah.
put more rack on.
Yeah.
That's the name of
I
the
don't
game.
think
is the rack.
anybody can put a price on a bigger rack. I mean,
You know, like I say, ours, we made sure before we did a lot of this stuff, we made jillions of phone calls, we made inquiries, we begged, we asked.
We got a guy that works close with us that graduated from Tech,
Yeah.
good friend.
and I think I'd heard a little bit about that, and
Yeah.
Helped us
Yeah,
formulate a lot.
I mean, he was a graduate of animal science department, so
Yeah.
an animal is an animal, you know,
Yeah.
and so he's real keen on knowing all the, you know, what the basics are about this mineral, because he feeds mineral on his farm every day to his cattle. But you know, and that was a lot of help. But we've made phone calls everywhere. We've stayed on, you know, computers looking. Finally, we think we got what we know. We know we
Yeah.
got what it's needed.
Yeah.
And the deer like it. You know, you can get what it's needed,
Right.
and if a deer don't like it, it's no good.
right.
So you got to get what's needed and compromise with some of this flavor and stuff, and bring it kind of together. Like I was telling you before, all salt's no good, not
Yep.
enough salt, no good. You know, you
Yep.
come in the middle
Yep.
at about 58 to 65% of salt. You find that they eat it real well. They consume every bit of the trace and your calcium and stuff. So it's a win-win.
So I mean, we've got the mineral to get them, you know, back on track from where they were during the rut and the
Yeah.
winter cold months.
Yeah.
You know, you got your spring blend here. Talk to us a little bit about that, and let us know, you know, what's in it.
Lots. These
Yeah.
mixes come in handy because they've been figured out, formulated, and they know what's going to grow.
That's awesome.
You know, and these seeds, with the exception of the wheat
Yeah.
is a little bigger seed. Wheat
Right.
seed's a little bigger. But these seeds for the chicory and for the clovers are real small, minute seed. You know, a handful of them like that right there would plant big areas. So
Yeah.
that's why one of these bags does a half acre.
Right.
But you don't want it to be so thick,
Yeah.
because see, clover is an establishing itself type thing,
Yeah.
especially the dino. You put it down, and if you plant it too thick, it just eats itself out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not enough there for it to feed on.
Yeah.
So you spread it out, get it a little nice, and then when it gets established, it starts coming back every year, and it thickens itself up, and by just nature, it'll fill in where it needs to be.
Yep.
So, and we sell it as a annual. And it does so nice. I mean, it does. So we had an 8-acre field of it that we tried when we first put it together just to test. I've never seen deer come to something so good, say about December.
Really, and that's what, man, I love
December, they was killing. You know, when everybody's got nothing to hunt,
Yep.
the rut's gone. You know, the deer, where did my deer go? You know,
that. They're going to the food.
you know, and then look around and you see a little sign that's come through here. Where, you know, there was deer
Yep.
here, there's deer. Well, they found feed somewhere else.
Yep.
If you've got late feed in that December month when you can hunt late muzzleloader or whatever, you've got the deal. And boy, this looks good. And we planted in the
love it.
1st of August, and the turnips and the radishes were up about that tall.
Now, do you suggest high fencing part of it to let it grow and saving it for that late season?
If it's feasible, if it's not too expensive, you know, obviously for sure. But what they're going to do, they're if they do anything at all, see your growth of this of the fall annual, which is the turnips and radishes and clovers. The radishes and turnips by hunting season are pretty much fully grown. You know, the tuber.
Yeah.
It's pretty well grown. Well, what the deer will do after the first frost, after first frost or two, so somebody says first frost, depends on how heavy the frost is. But
Right.
after a first good 2 or 3 frosts, the reverse of the sugars go out of the tube and goes up into
The leaf.
the leaf,
Yeah.
and it makes it sweet. Now sometimes they'll pick on them all summer, but when it gets real sweet, all of a sudden you'll be wondering, well, what did they do? What did we do wrong?
Yeah.
And you'll come in there one morning and boom, they just tore it all to pieces. Looked
Gone.
like a rototiller's been in
Yeah.
there.
Yep.
And that's what when it comes sweet, they keep testing. So,
Right.
it's time to go.
Yep.
I mean, it wouldn't be no more, more uncommon as when a squirrel finds a hickory nut. They won't eat hickory nuts until they're ready to eat, and then they'll go to them and eat them. That's the same with this deer here.
Yep.
So, and then along with, and in December you got your frozen ground. Well, the tubers are sticking out of the ground, tops of them, and then what we found out, the deer didn't know how to use it. They never ate turnips and radishes. So I said, man, what are they going to do? They don't even know how to do this. And
Right.
they wouldn't touching it. All of a sudden, someone or some of the deer figured it out, and they started nipping the tops of the tubers. In other words, the tops of the beet and the
Yep.
tops of the
Radish.
radish,
Yeah.
they'd bite the tops of them. So finally, even with the ground frozen, they would eat the tops off. And when the ground loosened up, they'd dig the rest of it up.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That
and
is
we
awesome.
had an 8-acre field, this real pretty lush field right in the mountain, and it was trails from every direction. You can see that wide right into the mud dirt. More sun. You go there at night, and we throw a light in there and just look, and
Yeah.
it looked like it was 50 deer in there every night,
Good.
and they were killing it.
And that's what I love, because I love hunting late season. I mean, I hold
Oh,
the
yeah.
bow all year, and I'm a firm believer on you have to have food,
Yeah,
or you have to go find it.
Yeah.
Because the deer are going to it.
Yeah.
And that's been the one thing that I've tried, different things here and there that said, the radishes, and I've just no success.
yeah.
And so
And I'll
I'm
tell you
really
something
looking forward to
about this fall annual. What we tried, and we did it out of accident, purely accident, was we had our fall annual done real great. Springtime, the clover, the radishes and everything else died away. They'd eat most of it, say about April. And man, we went out there and that clover was, boom, it didn't come up, and it was up like this high. I said, man, there's no sense in us disking this down. And, for the fall planting again, let's see what happens. So we watched it all summer. They stayed in there.
Yeah.
The Ladino come up, and where the crimson is not heavily grazed, it'll reseed itself too. So for some reason, we got a little bit of this cut back in. So we had probably a 50% stand of crimson and about a 75% stand of the white Ladino come up. Well, so it's a fall annual. So we just got a clover patch now. So we went back. We went back and took more of the same, the fall plot
Yeah.
seed, more of the blend, and went back and overseeded in August. We just went through
Yeah.
it. Well, I got a four-wheeler that has got a 50-pound hopper on the back of
Yeah.
it. And I just went through it, just overseeded it, and it all come up. So I got the
Wow.
same food plot again with no till. None.
That is unbelievable.
that's-
That's what I love
that's
right
what
there.
helps.
Same
That's-
food
That's
plot.
huge.
Yeah.
That is huge for me.
Yeah.
Because see, the
Yep.
seed and the radishes and the clover is so small, just tiny,
Yep.
pinhead type size. So it went right down in what was there.
Yeah.
And we planted it in August, reseeded it the next year in August. It all come back again. Now the next year after that, we got too many weeds in it. We had to plow it up. But
Plow it
yeah,
up.
I got 2 years out of an annual. Should have been one.
Wow.
See, so that's
Wow.
it really works
That's
good that
awesome.
way. Yeah.
And that's a testament right there. There's
Yeah.
no doubt.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was wanting to get at, and you nailed it.
I would
Was-
say that probably the worst thing on most food plotters is weeds. They don't know how to handle weeds. And we learned the hard way too when we were doing the research on these plots. On that same 8-acre field, we cut it up in strips and blocks to try to test, see what would do. So here's what we did. We went in there in the spring and round up everybody.
Okay.
We went in there about the end of March, and a lot of green would come up, round up.
Yeah.
So we went in there and round up, killed everything, we thought. What we found out later for some phone calls to Tech and every place else, that weeds have different germination times and different temperatures. So what we were actually got when we killed the end of March, 1st of April, when we killed in, was the early weeds. One of the worst weeds in the world is a Johnson grass.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes up on each farm. Well, it don't start germinate until the end of May, sometime in June.
Wow.
So what a person has to do is try to kill 2 times in the spring. Two times you've got to kill. So in order to make if you got a real good plot that you want to say an acre or 2 or something like that, and you want to get the weeds out of it, my suggestion would be to, before you ever plant on that plot being a fall plot. Don't plan on it being a spring plot.
Right.
Kill the weeds 2 times. One time 1st of April, one time about the 1st of July. You got them. You got every weed there is. When something comes up now, it'll be your stuff, not the weeds. So you've killed them. So it ain't 2 different times. That's what a lot of people, they'll go in there the first time and they'll kill the weeds out and they'll plant the plant. Oh, that looks great. And then all of a sudden, 2 months down the road, they got weeds standing as much as, no fault of theirs. They tried.
Right.
But what happened was the weed seed that was in there in the ground finally got to the temperature where it germinated.
Yep.
And up it comes, you know, and you've really missed it one time. So, and then when you plant the fall plot, nothing. You'll have a nice, beautiful fall plot. That's all you have. And it works out great like that. Or you can plant a spring plot if you just got to do it and kill the weeds once, plant it once, and then there's a couple products on the market. Slay is one and Arrest is the other that will kill the weeds and not the clover. But the problem is that sometimes it'll kill, you got to be real careful about it. Sometimes it'll kill, maybe like this chicory, it might kill the chicory.
Right.
You know, so you have to be careful about it. It'd be better to just go ahead and kill the weeds with a 2-time application. But, you know, and where you have small areas like a road bed or a log loading area or something like that, or little openings, you know, 1/4 of an acre or, you know, just something small. Your throw and grow is a great way to go there because you can eradicate the weeds right then and kind of work with it because, you're really not asking for an established thing that's going to do you 5 years. Yeah. You're looking for this year. Yep. Put it there and it'll come up. And if you plant it right, it'll be competitive enough the deer get in there and pick through the weeds and get to your good stuff. You know?
And we certainly don't want to, the throw and grow is definitely going to be a game changer. By all means, it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to turn anybody away from this thinking that, I can't get my tractor in there or I can't do that, because we've actually got a video we're working on. Jose here, actually, he spent the better part of a day clearing a nice sized place. Yeah. And we don't want anybody to be discouraged because they think, I can't get a tiller like a tractor and tiller or disc in there. Yeah. Because with a little bit of effort and some hand tools, it can be done.
Why, sure. Yeah. And you'd be surprised how much of it's utilized by the deer. Because usually those places, they don't have anything else. Yeah, they don't. Cut over timber or woods or whatever, All you need to do with the throw and grow, and ours is called New Ground. And obviously for trademark purposes, you've got to call it something else. But throw and grow is the general conception of the whole thing. It's no-till. No-till. So once you put that in, you've got to be, you can't go in there and it's solid leaves and you throw it on top of the leaves. That's not going to work. Yeah. You got to go in and take a hand rake or something, garden rake, just rake it out, get your dirt. You guys got to have soil contact. As soon as you can make soil contact and you put it in, just take a rake and run back over it. And you don't even have to do that, really. First rain's going to drive most of these seed in. On that no-till seed, it's just like it's going in. And but anyway, fertilizer. Put your backpack on, put your little fertilizer on it, and throw you can. And when it comes up, you can go to the liquid and start spraying it with the liquid. But just on your first seeding, when you put seed out, put you some 10-10-10 hours. I prefer, something less than that, but 10-10-10 will make the grade if it has to be. Be better than nothing. Right. But as soon as it gets up, say yay tall, then go with your liquid fertilizer, and it'll kick butt and go then. And you ain't really got much effort into it except for cleaning up and clearing up some debris out of it, your leaves and your old trash and your weeds and stuff, just getting it all out. And if you plant it right and relatively pretty heavy, it'll smother most weeds out. Yeah. They won't give it any sunlight. It'll go. But that's 90% of your people is, like I say, is an acre or less is what we're planting. Yep. Because if it's more than that, the farmers use it. Yeah.
Now, I know we've been doing a lot of research here lately, and we know that a lot of people take pride and made in America.
Mhm.
We've come to actually find out that some of these other mineral companies and stuff like that, they're actually getting stuff from overseas.
Sure, some of that hard rock type stuff
Yep.
is from Afghanistan and Iran and
Yep.
all that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Every bit of our product, our wheat seed, your seed generally comes from the Midwest or the West. I mean, it's just that's where they grow most of it.
Right.
So our seed, and it's under the bottom, it's all
Good portion of Oregon, I think.
Yeah, come on over here and
yeah,
get in on
it's
this.
all pretty much dated and everything, so
Yeah.
you don't get old seed.
Right. And that's
So-
huge. 'Cause, I mean, you
Yes,
get old
it is.
stuff, and then you're like, why didn't it come up? Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's going to be
Somewhere-
on its
That's
time
right.
it needed to be
Everything
planted.
we do is manufactured here in the USA. It's
Yeah.
all the ingredients and
Yeah,
everything.
everything
are
Yeah.
bought,
like
you know,
I
and
say,
they're
most
originated
all
here
of
in
our
the USA.
seed, it
Right.
comes, I'd say if I was guessing any one state, Oregon is probably the state that a lot of it comes from.
Really?
But there's some Midwestern states that a
Yeah.
lot of it comes, which grows, but, there's, people won't think it, but there's fresh seed, and there's year-old seed, there's 2-year-old seed,
Yeah.
and every year it declines in the percentage that actually comes up.
Yeah.
So, you got
Yeah,
kind
and with this right here, like you said, with your date, you know that you're getting a product
year's
that
seed.
is ready to rock and
Well,
roll.
see, think about this. There's no seed this year's seed. Can't be.
Yeah.
It's got to be at least 1 year old.
Yeah.
Because it had to grow a year.
Yep.
And then when it's harvested, you get it the next spring.
Yeah.
So that's the best you can do, and that's
Yeah.
what this is. You got to kind
Yeah.
of look at that. When you go pick up a
But I mean,
bag
if
that's
you're
5
going to
years
grab a
old,
bag from the
it might come up and it might not.
yeah,
It's possible it would. It's possible
Yeah.
it won't. So don't be disgusted if it doesn't. But
Right.
try to get the freshest you can
Yep.
get, the most recent seed, because lots of things can happen. There's weevils and all kinds of stuff
All
can
kinds
get
of
into.
Everything
Yeah.
that we bag and package, at the end of the year, if we have any seed left over, it's discarded.
Yeah.
We get
Yeah.
we start scratch at the beginning of the year,
Right.
with brand new seed.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
that's huge.
Now-
So no one's going to be getting a product that's 2
Sit on
years
the
old.
shelf. That's
Yeah,
right.
that
Yeah.
you know what I mean. And for me, just to throw it out there, going to the local supermarket or something, picking it up like we can today, that's who knows what you're getting.
Exactly.
This right here, I mean, it could be 2-3 years old, and then no wonder it doesn't come up. Whereas this right
Exactly.
here, it's 1 year old. You have your best chance if we do
Mm-hmm.
what the steps that you implemented to have an amazing food plot. And that's absolutely awesome.
This right here is very important too.
Seed coat.
The Delta Ag. I mean, I know your Tecumseh's big
Yeah.
at Delta Ag, but
Right.
we got to using it, and then we connected with the company, and they send us their labels and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not like an inoculant which goes on, say, clover and stuff like that. Most all you clovers are pre-inoculated, So this Delta Ag is a macro. It's almost like a macro fertilizer. It bonds to the seed. When you put it in it bonds to the seed. Each individual seed gets a bonding with that coating. And that, when it hits the dirt, and that seed is in there with the nutrients, the macronutrients, and then there's a host of them too, lots of them.
Yeah.
And then whenever, it gets any moisture, whatever, they start breaking down, germinates the seed, and they're like mucho fast coming out of the ground,
Oh,
rather
wow.
than a regular type.
I know we've mainly talked about deer since we've been here, but
Mhm.
these plots, I mean, they're going to help you turkey.
Turkey.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Rabbits. Show me a
Yeah.
rabbit that don't like clover.
It doesn't like clover, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, not only that, you guys have an entire market for wildlife and tame animals. I mean, I understand you guys got, a tick deterrent for your
Mhm. And
domesticated animals and farm animals, right?
That's
Livestock.
correct. Yeah, livestock.
It's all natural. There's nothing in that
No
mix.
antibiotics,
No
no,
antibiotics, no nothing. It's all
medication.
natural. And
So break this down for us a little bit here. This tick off right here.
Uh-huh.
What exactly? I know you're kind of leading into it. Go ahead and
couldn't tell you
give it.
exactly what it is because don't
Right.
nobody know.
Right,
I'll
but
tell you
all
this,
natural.
It's
Like
all
how
natural.
do we use it?
It's all natural stuff that we probably all of us consume daily. That we do.
Yeah.
It's all natural, and then what this does is effectively it goes into the bloodstream, and if with continuous small dosages, you start going with it. You put it in their feed, and once it gets in the bloodstream, it repels the bloodsuckers, and the actual odor of it repels bugs and flies and
So
stuff
it's
like
coming from
From the
just-
pores.
Pores of your
Yeah,
skin.
yeah, it's going from the inside out. Which,
Right.
and the
Yeah.
blood circles are coming from the outside in.
Right.
Makes
And
perfect
the-
sense.
The way the horse people is the original ones that did this, but we got it, the idea and the formulation from a deer farmer in Ohio. He uses it.
He puts it in his water
puts
system.
it in his water
feed
system when he
systems.
feeds his whitetails.
So it actually can go in a water system.
It
like-
could, yeah, if
Let's
they'll
say, you know,
consume it.
Yeah, if you, like you said, again, if you can get it to go inside.
If they can consume
Right.
it, it will work. You know,
Very
it'll work
good.
on deer.
Now,
We
how
got deer
long?
Tick off too. We got
Ha-
some for deer, and what they do, they try to put it in like you pelletized feed, or you can run it in a feeder with a free choice feed or something like that. As long as you can get it in their system. And I don't know about y'all's country up that way, but anything east of here, when you kill a deer early on bow season, the ticks are all over.
Oh,
You know.
everywhere.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
lately that's been up into November, December for us.
and it's
Yeah.
rain, and, you know, it's
It's been so
getting.
warm.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, it's getting worse.
Yes.
I mean, I can remember I'm a taxidermist. I've been a taxidermist for 36 years.
Right.
So, I can remember when you never seen a tick on a deer ever, when they brought
Really?
them into the shop, in hunting season. Never.
Wow.
Now, I see so many of them, I see them right on up into the winter. Well,
Yeah.
lake kills still
Yep.
got the ticks on them, you
Yep.
know, because the host is there, the deer.
Yeah.
So this helps. It ain't 100%, but it very much helps a lot.
Deter.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It'll help a lot. And like I say, the horse people were the big ones on
Right.
this product originally. And we have a market of horse people that use it, you know, in the past, and
Yeah.
we've done real well.
Because I mean, they like you said, they've got their deer, they've got their domesticated dog, animal, and then they got their livestock version of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I understand that the livestock version is a little bit more expensive due to the fact that it has to have more.
More product in
More
it.
product in
Right,
it,
size. Bigger animal.
and the
Yep.
actual volume that you have to use is more.
Right.
You know, it deals on weight.
Right.
You know, that's basically how it does it. But you can start out, you know, at a low dose and just, you know, it's just like putting anything in the dog's feed. You know, just put the amount it says for your dog size, and just start a low dosage. Then you can actually cut back a little bit on it once it's a month or two in the system.
Yeah.
And
3 times a week.
yeah,
Yeah.
3 times a week.
So, go ahead. So this 2-pound bag will last a person how long?
a dog a long time.
A long time.
A normal dog. Yeah,
Yeah.
normal
Like say,
40,
like
50
say
pounds.
the size of your lab there,
Yeah.
50, 55 pounds. I have a Doberman full size.
Probably a month.
Yeah.
Probably
month?
last a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know, and the thing about that is, you start a little bit before tick season,
Yeah.
and when tick season's over with, you end it. You don't have to do it all the time, just unless you.